So hi, I'm Harvey Lowe from ICMS Toronto and AMPS Fort York. We're going to do a very short demonstration on liquid plastic welding using a new product called Bondo. If you've ever seen and gone to the dentist for your teeth work and fillings, the dentist uses this bright light to get your fillings done. My daughter does a lot of nail work, and there's these little machines that you can buy where the girls put their nails, guys too, you know what I mean, put their nails in there, and it hardens the nails through UV lighting. So I was in Canadian Tire, a hardware store in Canada, I saw this Bondo product there, and I thought, what could it do for scale modeling? I did look all over the internet, YouTube, and the web, and I honestly couldn't find any videos about using Bondo. I don't work for them, by the way, and if the company sees this, they probably need to give me some money because I know you guys will probably try it. And at Canadian Tire, they had this there, and I thought, let's give it a try. And I couldn't find anything on the web, so here's a very short demonstration of bonding. I'm still learning, and I'm hoping that with the video out there that more people will respond to this after I give it a first go. So, what is liquid plastic welding? Liquid plastic welding, everyone knows what welding is, right? The only difference is that you're using this liquid plastic. So what happens is it comes in a tube that looks like this. Okay? Looks like this. Okay, I got it from Canadian Tire, but I know you can get it at Walmart, and there's places all over the States you can get it. You can get it from Amazon as well. It's I think $25 Canadian with taxes all in. And I figured, you know what, it's not that expensive, let's give it a try. So I was experimenting with it, and as I said, I couldn't find anything on plastic modeling sites about this, so I figured I'd give it a go. Now, liquid plastic welding is really no different than any other type of adhesive when you're putting together different materials, right? But it is not a glue. Okay, it's not labeled as a glue. It's not called a glue. What it is it's a liquid plastic, and then with the use of an AV light after, it hardens. And the best way to describe it is like epoxy glue. Okay. That's the way I've seen it. Although it's got a little bit more uses than epoxy glue, because with the UV lighting, the bonding occurs in less than 4 seconds, 3 seconds. I was timing it. If you put a small drop and you just put a light on it, it'll probably set it about 2 seconds flat. You can build up layers and make it stronger. Basically, it comes in this hard case. It comes in a package. This is what you see is what you get with some instructions. It's a metal case because this is a squeezy plastic thing, which is prone to breakage. I have seen and heard on the internet some of these things come broken in the packages. So if you do buy one, just make sure it's not broken. And the case is just hard so that it doesn't break. Basically, what they give you is they give you the actual light. We'll go with that in a moment. They give you the actual liquid plastic, which is in this tube. You can actually refill this tube if you want, but the way it comes is it comes with an applicator. See, that what's great about this applicator is it's very fine, and it's really great for application directly onto a surface. You don't really need anything else. You can use a toothpick if you want. Okay, the liquid is inside here, and in fact, if you look at it, in fact, we'll just do this first. Now I did this out of Milliput, just to see what it'd be like to use this stuff, kind of like as a resin alternative, right? And so you see, you squeeze it, it comes out of a needle-like, and it's literally the viscosity of epoxy putty. You keep squeezing it, and by the way, you can get refills. I'll show you what that package looks like. You keep squeezing it out. Now, there's two ways I noticed that you can do this. Now, this is just a little mold I did of a little wheel from a tank model. Now, what you could do is you can layer it and then hit it with the light and layer it some more. That actually makes it stronger. But you see, I've given a whole bunch of goop there, and the light is a little switch, and you don't need goggles or anything like that. But you see, the light's like that, and you literally hit it, and you just do this for a few seconds, and it'll start to harden. Now this big goop will probably take a little long to harden because the inside's still liquid, right? But the longer you set it, the harder it will get. Now, you could go on eBay and you could get alternative UV light sources, the ones for nails. I'm sure those will work. I haven't tried it.
Is it ultraviolet?
It's ultraviolet. Right? You probably don't even need this long. Now, this is basically an LED bulb, right? And when I was playing around with it as a resin product, just to see what it would look like, it's there, it's hardened, right? Now, is it great for resin casting? I've noticed
I was going to ask you
that when I look at this and I put it in, you do get bubbles in here, and I would suggest if you really want to use it for that, you layer it. And I will suggest is that you really only use this for casting for very simple parts. This though, look, it's very hard. Pass that around, it's extremely hard. This mold is milliput. You notice that it didn't even need Vaseline or anything like that. You can use this for simple parts. The other thing you can use it for is, you see you got a wheel like this, and this is armor stuff. But you can also use it to fill holes. So you can use it for filling seams and stuff like that, but it's thick. So you can build it up. And look, I'm building it up, if you can see it. That's a pretty wide gap. See, look, it's filled that gap though.
Yeah.
And that's a fairly significant gap. And then you zap the light on, and that will cure. So you can use it for filling things. You could, in fact, use it for windows, in fuselage, because it's clear. It dries clear.
Like, really clear?
Yeah, it dries fairly clear. I wouldn't do it on a large cockpit, but I think you probably could get away with it on 72nd or maybe some ship's portholes and scuttles.
How's the sanding on it?
You can sand it. You can totally sand it.
So you could use that for filler, actually.
You could. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I've used it for some fillers. It's already hardened. It's very hard. Now, what I've noticed is that if you push hard enough, it will break, but it's a model.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't suggest you use a lot for RC if you're into movable objects, but I'll pass on. Look, it's already filled, and so you can use it
Yeah, it's good.
as a filler. Okay.
But you cannot use it as an adhesive.
No, it's not really. It's an adhesive in the way that if you really want to bond something of different, it'll hold. But it's not going to be like a super glue where you're talking. I've seen commercials of this where they say that you can rip it with I think it really depends on the materials. And I have noticed that if you're going to use this stuff, make sure that if like let's say I'm going to do this, right? I sand it. I find it works a lot better. Now, if I'm bonding this to this, what you could do is you could either hold it, or you could use some tape and put it over and hold it into position, right? The key is to hold it in the position, and since I'm doing this fairly quickly, if I wanted to assemble this brass piece onto this styrene, it's pretty easy. You can just, all you're doing is now it is fairly thick, so it's not going to be thin like a thin super glue. Now, what I find helps is I didn't bring it with me. You know those duster cans from computers?
Yep.
You just spray it and it'll kind of smooth it out a bit. Now, I only did half of this. And turn on the light, and literally, they say 4 seconds will bond this brass part onto this styrene. Could you use epoxy? Sure you could. Could you use super glue? Sure you could.
Yeah.
It's really another, I think, product in the arsenal. I have not seen, I don't work for Bondo, but I have not seen another brand of this stuff, right? I've seen some commercials where info things on the jewelry, they kind of use this stuff, but Bondo's the first time I've seen it used.
It's actually made in Canada.
You can pass that around. Now, I only did half. Now, see how it can come off? See how it can come off? See? I only did half. So I wouldn't throw it around like I did, so it comes apart. It's not terribly that strong. But it was on, and if you paint around it, you can reinforce it with super glue. Now, the real thing I wanted to show you, grab my model, the one that Will's with, the green, yeah.
That came right off.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah.
Now, this is an example where it came right off there because this plastic surface was fairly smooth, so I'd rough it up a bit. Now this is detailed photo etch on my on this 1/35 armored vehicle, that shows you what you can do with Bondic, with photo etch. And I think that, to me, is where I'm getting my greatest application out of this product, because I really don't like soldering. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of tools. You got to get the right flux. So I tried this stuff. Now, I used it on this, and I'll show you how I did it. It's fairly strong. I wouldn't crunch it up and do that. But then again, even soldering was probably fairly weak when you do that. But I can pass this around. You'll notice that the fact that it's liquid and it's a fairly sharp applicator, you can use this on complex photo etch assemblies like this. And this is how it came out, and I'm pretty happy with it. You don't really see a lot of overbuild. You see a little bit, but they weren't perfect anyway. So I'll hand this around, and you can look at
So
that.
like spreads by capillary action?
Yeah, using a little from your airbrush, an air source. You can use a paintbrush. On
really?
that one, I used a little 000 paintbrush, and I applied. I just put this liquid here, and then I used the paintbrush to apply it into the crevice. Now,
Nothing wrong with that.
I'll show you with this photo etch.
Can you clean it with your brush? Can you clean it afterwards? Do you-
Yep, I just put it in. I found to clean the brush a lacquer thinner.
Okay.
Cleaned it quite well, and so you don't have to muck around with brushes and waste them on this stuff.
You'll be dedicated.
Right? Yeah, because that was a pretty complex, and to use solder would take a little more time. Now I'm going to do this fairly quickly. I'm going to try this on just one of these miscellaneous photo etch pieces. This is fairly thick photo etch, right?
I wonder how long these batteries will last with the.
I don't know.
applicator.
That's why you might want to consider getting an alternate light source. Now, let's say that you're going to put this onto this. Now, what I find works is you start off with some super glue, and I use the gap filling stuff just to get it on to the piece, right? You could use super glue through the whole thing, but sometimes some assemblies are so delicate. And again, I forgot, I usually rough it up a bit.
Yeah.
You could even rough this up a bit, right? So it sticks a little better, right? You can clean photo, I don't know, how many of you guys clean photo etch?
Yeah.
And what do you guys clean it with?
Just put it in file, or you can also put it in
Rubbing alcohol?
or vinegar.
Vinegar?
This soap is what I use.
Yeah.
What's that?
Vinegar.
This one, this soap, this soap.
I use a little zap kicker just to hold it in place. You guys use this stuff?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so that kind of set. Now I'm doing this pretty quick. And by the way, I found that that you can actually put the stuff on with this stuff. Unless there's some vapor that's carcinogenic, well, who knows, right?
Will this dry by itself, Harvey, if you just leave it there, or will that stay liquidy for a long period?
This will ultimately, that's a good question. This will ultimately harden, it'll ultimately harden over time because of the natural lights and the UV rays
Yeah.
from the sun. So it will harden over time.
But I mean, if you're for half an hour, will it remain?
No, it'll still be pretty much in the same
Liquid form.
viscosity as about epoxy. And this is about the consistency of this.
Okay.
Okay. Now I would use. I forgot to bring a paintbrush, but you just apply some in there. Now this looks pretty fast, but you'd use a 000 brush. You get the idea. And I tend to do it on both sides. So do a little on this side, do a little on this side, and it's really simple. That's why this is a short video. You put the light on. They say 4 seconds, and I just go along the weld. Now I did cheat because I used some super glue, but on that vehicle there, believe me, there's minimal ZAP cyanacridate super glue on it. Most of it is Bondic, and it's holding pretty good. Again, I wouldn't crush it with fingers, but it's, I've had it sitting on my desk. I even dropped it on the floor, and it held up. It's kind of like those Timex commercials. Okay, so that's on pretty good. You can pass that around. I find that the application for modeling is probably as an alternative to welding, because I just find it is so fast.
equivalent, or for using 5-minute epoxy.
Yeah, 5-minute epoxy now.
Bring one for everyone?
Trying to find is a refill. Did I thought I put a refill in here. You can buy refills for this. Maybe I don't. You can buy refills for them, and I think they're at like half the price because you're really paying for the light. In the end, do I like it? Absolutely, because I can use this stuff on multimedia stuff and get things together and glued very quickly. And it's just another alternative to this, another alternative 5-minute epoxy. And I think it's something that the model community can use. So,
Do you find that you have to, even after you do that, sand anything down afterwards?
Yep.
Because usually you still-
yep, you can totally sand this stuff. It sands very well, and it paints very well after it. Okay, I have heard. I'm going to try it with different materials. I have heard it doesn't work as well on some materials, so I would suggest you try it and experiment first. But I find on photo etch, this again, this is about a month ago, and it's held up. It's not going anywhere. So, and again, it's pretty precision, right? Without the need to have a soldering iron and cleaning your flux and doing all that stuff. So, for me, I've had some pretty good success with it. Any other questions?
Is this available locally, or do you have to go online?
Canadian
It's available at Canadian Tire and Walmart. Now, the last time I went, they were out. I guess people are buying it up for other
It
uses.
says it's made in Canada.
They go on sale sometimes, so that's why.
Yeah.
Canada.
Okay, so that's all I have to say for the video. Why don't we end the video here so I can entertain some more questions. So thanks for listening, and happy modeling.